Okay, wonderful, wonderful. I got it now. Beautiful. Franco, welcome. You left the premises.
Hi, Kit.
Yes. Hi. How are you?
Very well, very well, very well. Now, could you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly. How are things going on that side of the ocean?
Yeah, yeah. This is not an easy moment for anyone of
Yeah.
us,
Yeah.
but at the end, we can consider ourselves pretty lucky because every one of us is out of the bed. So in this crazy time, is already a great news. Is probably the most important news.
Exactly.
And
There are people that are not here today, so we're here to chat, and that's a positive.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
This is really, really a very hard time, a very crazy time. So to be here to speak with you and to enjoy this chat is certainly already a big luck.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So, in terms of the format, Franco, want to talk about the history, the physical environment, winemaking and wines and things of that nature, right? But before we get into that, I just want to talk a little bit about an article that was posted today by Susan Hoffman, which talks about the best winemakers in Italy being the hardest hit by the COVID-19 lockdowns. Could be distilled out. But wines like Barolo, for example, which are built to last and whose markets were devastated, both domestically and internationally, they have a number of issues. And there are two issues that they pointed out, other than the fact that the sales have been diminished significantly. The two issues, though, that the questions that he raised is one, a logistics issue. What happens in the cellar with the wines that you have in the cellar, and then you'll have a new vintage coming in not too far away from now. And then secondly, will it be allowed if there is a logistics issue for the wines to be stored outside of the traditional region? Is that something that's being discussed? So those are just two things I'd like for you to address, please.
Yeah, so this crazy virus has changed many things in our world, and we have to adapt ourselves to an incredible new situation because, like you said, it's a big problem. We have in Italy, and not only in Italy, the lockdown that more or less. Not allowed us to do shipment, to do distribution of our wines around the world. So certainly it's not an easy time. We have to organize ourselves and our cellar to work in a different way to try to find a solution to the new problems that arrived. Certainly, the logistic problem to be able to find a place to stock the vintages and to stock the bottles that will be probably not sell during this year. It's pretty a big problem. Certainly, I think. The producers like us can be considered pretty lucky because we are producing also wines that can be aged a long time, can improve their quality also in a time. So this is a great luck because, like the Barolo, the Barbaresco, the Nebbiolo, generally speaking, is a variety that can age very well and improve the quality during the aging process. We certainly in the last years, speaking about the cellar Massolino, we did a big sacrifice, a big investment, building a new cellar in our old place, in our historical place. So we are feeling ourselves pretty lucky because we have a big warehouse where we can stock in a perfect condition the larger part of our bottles. We continue to be anyway optimistic because also if we lost a couple of months of sales during these first months of the years, especially in the domestic market, where everything is closed, restaurant closed, wine bar and wine shops are completely closed. So we lost completely the domestic distribution. But we think the people, when and we hope soon, when everything will be reopened again, probably the people would like to enjoy again the freedom and enjoy again the bottles of wines.
Wonderful, wonderful. Welcome, Maurizio Broggi and Gareth Fenich, a couple of regular guys I see are rolling by. So just to level set for folks who may not be as Barolo-centric as you are, could you tell us, what is the Barolo zone and its constituent parts? And, what makes, a wine a Barolo?
Yeah, so the Barolo is certainly one of the most popular Italian wine in the world. It's a wine, in my opinion, it's a wine that can speak very well about the region where it's produced, because it's produced with a Nebbiolo. Nebbiolo is a variety extremely sensitive. It's a variety that can change immediately its expression if we change also a little bit the terroir, the climate, the altitude. So I remember with pleasure an example that a friend of mine gave me some time ago, saying that the Barolo is a real Piedmontese wine that represents the soul of Piedmontese people. Why? Because if you think about Piedmont, it's a region in the northwest part of Italy, under the Arc of the Alps, a little bit outside of the usual way of communication, especially in the past. So the people, generally speaking, are a little bit more, I can say, a little bit more closed. People a little bit outgoing at first. So people that work very hard, very good people, but often people that need a little bit more time than in another place to be open. And if you think about the Barolo, I think it's a real sample of Piedmontese style. So a wine not so easy to understand when it's young, a wine that needs time, and a wine that also doesn't really like to travel a lot, because if you would like to enjoy a glass of Nebbiolo with the characteristic of the Barolo or Barbaresco, you have to come here. It does not exist another part in the world with a similar characteristic. So I think the force of the Barolo is a capacity to, in a world where there are many wines that are similar under many aspects, the Barolo is in some way a little bit unique. So a wine with its personality and its complexity. Sometimes, I repeat, not so easy to understand, but in some way unique. And this is our luck.
Yeah. By the way, I am drinking,
wonderful choice. Wonderful choice of a great vintage. I read well, it's 2004.
Yeah.
Wonderful, great choice.
Thanks.
You choose a really an excellent producer from Serralunga. I know him a little bit. He's a good guy.
You've heard of him, right? Yeah. So tell me a little bit of the history of your estate. It was founded by Giovanni and then expanded in the 70s to some of these crew vineyards. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, sure. I am the fourth generation of my family. My great-grandfather founded it plus than 120 years ago. in a historic center of a small town of Serralunga, a small town place across of a peak, of a hill here in Piemonte, only 500 inhabitants, so really, really small town. We are still in the center of this village where my great-grandfather founded it. And in the beginning it was like a farm, because the economic situation in Italy at that time was not easy. So at the end they needed to eat. So they produce vegetable, they breed animals, and they produce also a small quantity of bunch of grape for a small production of wine. His son, my grandfather, Giuseppe, really a short and very clever, very smart man, really lived in a period not easy again, because he lived 2 world wars, so a lot of troubles. But like every a large part of the Piemonte's people are really great worker with a lot of energy, a lot of projects, like my father, like my uncle, that were so clever and so ready to invest the money of the family to buy vineyard that are outstanding, vineyard unique, that today we have a great luck to be able to produce, and certainly vineyard that today are not so easy to buy, not so easy to find. And now is our turn. Now is the turn of the 4th generation. So we are ready to go on holiday at Hawaii. No, I know. No, I'm joking.
Very modern of you.
No, we are made with the same energy of my relatives. We have a great project for the future. We are 7 people of my family today involved in the business, plus other 10 employees that are giving us a very precious hand. So the lack of our seller is also to be a very good team, with a very clear idea, with a great project for the future, with a lot of energy and a lot of enthusiasm. This is, in my opinion, is really our winning card also for the future.
Okay. Now, could you tell us a little bit about the physical environment there in Barolo, the climate and the soil structures, and in a general sense, but more specifically to the area that you're tending grapes in?
Yeah, so it's also if the area of Barolo is very small, because you have to consider that it's only 5.3 miles large for 7.4 miles long. So it's really tiny. 1,700 hectares planted in a Barolo area for a total production of 15 million bottles. Also, if this area is very small, is very complex. There are many different terroir, many different style that you can find tasting the wine that arrived from the different villages. Why? Less than 20 million years ago, there was a sea here. The water of the sea made the erosion of many minerals from the Alps and transport these minerals in this area, forming different layers. So you have many different type of soil. So we have the sand, we have the gravel, but we have also very fine material like clay, like silt, and many other microelements like iron, like magnesium. With the compression of the continents, the hills of this area grow up. And today we have many. When we do the excavation in our vineyards, we can find easily these layers, layers that speak about the geology of our area, and all these layers are able to give a different imprinting to the wine produced, especially, I repeat, for a wine produced with the Nebbiolo. Variety really very sensitive. So considering this point, Um, it's really magic for a wine producer to have a possibility to produce different wine on every different vineyard. Um, if you, so we are, for example, in the southeast portion of the Barolo area. We are in the geologically in the oldest part of the Barolo area, where the soil is more calcareous, is very white. If you, so it's a soil poor in organic substances. You can find iron oxidation, iron oxides in the ground. So in this part, in this portion of the Barolo area, the Nebbiolo usually give us wines with a lot of energy, with tannins a little bit more masculine, if I can say like this. Wine born, generally speaking, to age a long time. Acidity a little bit higher, pH lower. So wines really born under the star of the long aging process. What we have to do, we have to take care of the characteristic of the terroir of this village, trying also to, in my opinion, to underline the character, the personality of a Nebbiolo, that we think is one of the variety, one of the most important variety if you are looking for wines with a great elegance also. This is the imprinting that we try to give to all the wines produced from our cellar. So we are looking for balances. We are looking for, certainly we have the powerful, the richness of the territory of Serralunga, but at the same time we are looking for also the elegance of the Nebbiolo. It's a project not easy, but it's really magic. For this reason, in our cellar, also if we have a long experience, learned from my relative. We are always interested to do experiments, to do researches, to understand more, and to improve, always to improve, to try to improve the quality of our wines. I think this area grown really a lot. If you think at the last 20-25 years, the producer, a large part of the producer, are investing all their effort, all their sacrifice, looking for a very high quality. I can say that there is also a very good, a safe competition, good competition between all the producers, because we know that the level of the quality here is very high. Every one of us would like to produce the best possible, the best possible wine. So this is very
so now
positive.
you have the Peruzzi vineyard in Castiglione Folletto. How is that region different from Serralunga? How do the wines from that region differ?
Yes, it's curious. When we bought this piece of land called Peruzzi, we followed in love for this vineyard because it's placed exactly on a top of a small hill where there is a view that is outstanding. So we followed in love for this vineyard, and with honestly a big sacrifice, we were able to buy it. But we had no experience doing the vinification of Nebbiolo outside Serralunga. We had before Peruzzi, we had only vineyard for a production of Barolo in Serralunga. So we expected, to be honest with you, we expected the wine a little bit more feminine, a little bit more approachable, easy to understand than the Barolo produced in Serralunga. But you know, Serralunga and Castiglione Folletto, in some part of the village of Castiglione Folletto, has a geologically a type of soil very similar. And what we expected was not correct. So the first vintage we produced from Peruzzi was 2007. So a vintage pretty warm. But we immediately doing just already since the beginning of the vinification, we understood that we did a mistake in a sense that we certainly not find a wine more well balanced or more easy to understand. It's a wine very deep. It's a wine with also there a lot of energy with a kind of tannins a little bit different than Serralunga. The terroir is a little bit deeper and richer than Serralunga, richer in organic substances. So I think wines with a very strong personality, very dark in color. We can say also darker than Serralunga, with tannin that needs a lot of time also there. The perfume are more in the red fruit, are more in a meaty notes. Very, very interesting single vineyard that certainly we try to produce like the others in a way that allowed the wine to show itself in the best possible way.
So, so Galoni and Masnaghetti and Ratti have all classed at one time or the other, the vineyards across Barolo, ranking them, one versus the other, all using their own classification scheme. But they all, think that Vigna Rionda is one of the world's greatest vineyards. The Parafada also is there in that listing, but Perusi and Margheria are not listed. What it is that that those guys are not getting about those two vineyards?
I don't honestly. I don't know. Probably historically, Vigna Rionda has been always considered one of the top single vineyard of the area. Probably also Parafada, that is a very small hill, as an identity, very strong, very very clear. I think they are really great single vineyards. But also the other two single vineyards has a personality unique. For this reason, we decided to produce them like a single vineyard, and we are convinced that also the other two has a great potential. It's also, in my opinion, is also a question of taste. So Margheria is a single vineyard with extremely elegant notes, also when it's young, with a lot of sweet notes, with spicy, elegant bouquet. Is probably the most well balanced of our Barolo when it's young, and is also very well considered. Also, with excellent reviews around the world. And also the Margheria has a pretty long story, because our first vintage was 1985, so already a long time ago. Parusi is an area that probably is not yet so famous like Vigna Rionda for sure, or like Parafada, but we are working to grow up this single vineyard, and soon to have also this single vineyard with excellent reviews. Excellent.
Now you have a class of cru wines. You have classic blended kinds of wines, and then you have non-Nebbiolo reds and white wines. Now, are you growing all of your grapes, or are you purchasing some grapes?
We are growing all our grapes. In this area today is almost impossible to find good piece of land for sale. or if they are for sale, they are very expensive. So with this, we thought to buy some other piece of land that are close to the Barolo area, but not inside. So we bought some years ago an excellent vineyard in Monforte, but not included in the Barolo area, where we planted a lot of Nebbiolo. Excellent place, wonderful production, but certainly we can't produce a Barolo. So we are producing there the Langhe Nebbiolo. We are producing also the whites like the Chardonnay and the small quantity of the Riesling, Barbera, Dolcetto. Another estate just a few years ago, we bought it in Alba. Again, the same project. Why? Because, like I told you before, we are 7 people of my family involved in the business. So we are 4 families together. So we have a pretty good potential. We think the Piedmontese wine are living a great moment around the world. So we had a request also of denomination not so famous and noble like a Barolo. We had a pretty big request all over the world. So we thought that could be great to have wines a little bit more simple, but at the same time very enjoyable. Like the Langhe Nebbiolo, for example. Langhe Nebbiolo, I think it's extraordinary wine that help also the Barolo, because not all the wine lovers are ready or feel themselves comfortable to enjoy directly a glass of Barolo. Some of them probably would like to start with a wine a little bit more easy to enjoy, a little bit more open, like could be a Langhe Nebbiolo. After there are, I told you we are an historical cellar, but also a younger team. So sometimes we would like to try to realize some dreams or some project that could seem sometimes also strange, but they are not strange. For example, in the beginning of the years 90s, we decided to plant some fields of Chardonnay. That certainly is not a typical variety from Piemonte, but we thought that could be great to have to try to produce a very good white wine in the areas a little bit more fresh, where we have not the right condition, for example, to produce a great Nebbiolo or a great Barbera, but we have an excellent terroir and an excellent climate for other varieties, like the Chardonnay, like the Riesling, and also in some other places like the Moscato d'Asti. I underline that we are spending all our efforts and we are taking care of every variety of our production in the same way, trying to produce the best possible quality for every our denomination. There is a big news that I would like to share with you. Last year, after a long time, we had the possibility to rent an excellent piece of land in a Barbaresco area. So one of our dreams since a long time was to try to produce a Barbaresco, another king of this area, another outstanding denomination. We never found the right piece of land, because we would like to have a vineyard with the potential to produce one of the best Barbaresco in the area. So thanks God, last year we found a friend of ours that rented us 3 different pieces of land, 3 single vineyards in the Barbaresco area. So in 2022 we will release for the first time in the history of the Massolino family a small production of a Barbaresco. So we are very excited about that.
Wow! And so will that be a blend of the crus, or there be individual bottlings?
The idea is to release the one Barbaresco produced, blending the 2, because there are 3 crus. One is called Albesani, and another Starderi, and another Serra Boella. So probably we will blend a couple of them to produce a Barbaresco that we will call Barbaresco Classico, and another one will be produced like a single vineyard. But to be honest with you, we have not yet decided which one will be released like a single vineyard. At the present, we did the vinification separately of these three wines, and checking also the evolution. We will see which one will be our favorite.
So True Lopd says he's enjoying a Perusi 2011 in Norway tonight. That's
wonderful. Great choice.
Yeah.
Well done, bravo.
And by the way, I love when you guys come on here and share news with us. Benanti did the same thing yesterday. That's awesome. So tell me about you guys tend to say that the wine is made in the vineyard, right? All the hard work is done in the vineyard, so very little work done in the cellar to make great wines. Tell me what it is that you guys are doing in your vineyard.
Yeah, the vineyard, a large part of the producer think that the key of the quality is the vineyard, and is the real most important part of the production of a great wine. If you already visit this area, and you know that the hills here are completely covered with vineyards that are like a garden. Everywhere you see vineyard and fields, really perfect. The people, all the producers or a large part of them, are really investing a lot under this point of view. And we are one of them. Certainly is necessary to consider that the weather, due to the global warming, due to the weather changed pretty a lot in the last 20-25 years. So happened that during the winter we have no more a lot of snow like in the past. Happened that we have summer very, very hot, very warm, with sun radiations often too strong, that can really burn, can cook the skins of our berries. Happened that we could have the same quantity of water considering the entire year, but the rain arrived in a different way. So arrived the storm that in a few minutes can really give us so many millimeters, and the water has not the right time to go underground, to arrive to the root of our plants. So we had also to change how we manage our vineyard, taking care of these changements. So, for example, we have the entire surface of the vineyard covered with the grass to avoid the transpiration, to avoid the erosion. We are covering a part of our vineyards with hail nets, for example. The storms sometimes here are crazy strong, so in few minutes can really destroy completely the work of an entire year. So these hail nets can help us also in many cases to make a little shadow or shade on our bunch of grape, that protect also our bunch of grape from the sun radiation, like I told you before. The canopy has to be managed in another way. So we do not take out anymore the leaves on a fruit zone to protect our fruit from the sun radiation. So summing up, the producer, we understood that is also very important to find a balance, to have a terroir as alive as possible. So also for this reason, considering the land pollution. The people here do not use any more herbicide, and more or less all the producers do not use any more chemical systemic pesticide. So it's the mentality of the producer. A large part of the producer, as included, became to be more ripe than and more responsible than in the past. So I think this is an area very clean under this point of view. And I think I'm very proud under this point of view for this area.
So are they going organic, or are they?
Yeah. There are many producers that also, if they are not declared or certified organic, they are working like to be organic producers, as included, for example. There are often many bureaucratic things to take care to become to be organic, and also some aspects that are a little bit difficult to manage. And at the end, we decide to produce our wine in a most safe and clean way, because first of all, we would like to give our wine to our children, to our friends, to all the people around us, also without certification, but we would like to produce them as safe and as clean as possible.
All right, so I prepared this chart a little while ago. It talks about traditional winemaking between 1950 and 1970, let's say, and then it talked about more modern style coming in between 70 and 90, and overlaid on top of that, you still had a number of folks doing things in the traditional fashion, and then some kind of a merging of the two disciplines, post the 1990 time frame. People didn't become as didactic as they were in the past. Could you talk to this in relation to your experiences within your operation? Were you affected by this in any way? Did you go along a modern path at any time in your lifetime?
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's been a very interesting and, under my point of view, very dynamic evolution. In the years, I remember in the years 90s, there was an evolution really unique and very interesting. I try to explain myself. So I remember I was 20 years old at this time, and I remember that everybody began to speak about a new style of a Barolo. Producers that traveled a lot around the world thought to try to give something different to the market. And I think, under my point of view, was a very dynamic and interesting opportunity for a Barolo to arrive on the table and in the cellars of many wine lovers, of many people that that are curious to taste something different, to compare wines with a different personality. Me too. I did several time tastings, blind tastings.
Hashtag me too.
Yes. But I remember we decided, our cellar decided to try to produce also one wine following a different way of vinification and production, the Parafada. We produced Parafada for the first time in 1990. I convinced my father to try to produce this wine in a different way, because everybody was speaking about these wines aged in barrique with this elegant notes, so it was a magic moment for a new style producers. So I convinced my father to produce this wine and to produce this wine in a different way. And I have to say that we learned a lot. I have to say that we enjoyed, that we had a lot of fun also to produce this wine. We learned that the Nebbiolo is a variety complex with a personality very strong that has to respect. And at the end could be managed in a different way, but at the end the personality of the Nebbiolo with the aging process arrive always to be the most important expression. But anyway, year after year, experience after experience, tasting after tasting, we identified which is for Massolino the best style, the best expression of our brand, which is the best style for us. For a wine producer, it's very important to produce a style, to produce a wine on which he believes, he trusts. So it's at the end we also for the Farfalla today we are doing the vinification that we can say very traditional, very classic. Today, I think there is no more, under my personal point of view, there is no more a so clean line that divide the modernist producer from the traditionalist producer. I think today the mentality of the area is more right. The producers understood that we have to produce a wine that is a Barolo, that speak about Nebbiolo, wines that could be aged in barrique or in tonneau or in a large barrels, but wines that in a blind tasting you have to recognize that is an expression of this area. This is what I think today. So the level today of a large part of the producers is very high, and I think it's not important if they use a barrique or not barrique. Certainly, I think it's necessary to choose a way, to choose a style, and to be convinced of what we are doing, and to try to achieve the best possible expression, the best possible wine in a way that in a style that you choose.
Wonderful. So tell us then about your winemaking style, your winemaking process, and then if you can talk to each of the cru wines, a little bit of the character of each of those wines as you see it.
Okay, so today the style of our vinification, we can say that is pretty simple, because I always like to say that we try to continue to produce the wine like the history taught us. What mean that the Barolo is a wine considered one of the top expression of the Italian red wine in the world. If the Barolo arrived to this level, is because in a history the producers did a great job. We tasted Barolo of the years 60s, of the years 70s, 80s that are outstanding. We would like to continue this way. We would like to have this expression, this identity that we consider the real, the traditional, the authentic style, the purity style of the Nebbiolo in this area. So we invested a lot in years in technologies, yes. So today we have temperature control, we have automatic pumping over, we have many machinery, modern machinery that help us to have a better control on the vinification, on the aging process, on the bottling time. on the analysis. So we invested a lot under this point of view, but I can say that if we consider really the vinification process, at the end, the vinification process, the key of the vinification, the keys of the vinification process are more or less unchanged. So fermentation in a big barrel, in a Slavonian oak called a Dettini, pumping over, not very high temperature. After is difficult or not difficult, it's impossible to me to give a real receipt because it's not like this. You know, every vintage produces a different bunch of grape. Every vintage has a different weather. So we have, in this case, it's very precious our long experience because you know, considering the weather we had during the season, considering the analysis, considering many parameters, we can more or less have an idea of what we have to do to underline also the personality of each vintage. You know, there are vintages more with a style more ready, there are others with a style more adapted to the aging process. So this is, generally speaking, how we manage our vinification. After we age our wine in a big barrel, so it's Slavonian oak, we need to have a type of barrel as neutral as possible, where we can age our wine for a long time without to be in a hurry, in a very slow way, in a very, very calm way. We like this way to age our wine. Single vineyards, certainly. The single vineyards, we produce today 4 different single vineyards, 3 of them from Serralunga, 1, like we said before, from Castiglione Falletto. Every one of them has a different personality. Every one of them show, in an authentic way, different characteristic. Briefly. So, Margheria, I told you before, we consider Margheria the most expressive when it is young of our single vineyards. Why? Because in a terroir has a little percentage higher of sand. So this percentage of sand gives a great minerality, great elegance, a little bit more roundness to this wine. That is an extremely charming expression of a Barolo, of a Nebbiolo from Serralunga. Parafada is the oldest vineyard of our estate, is plus than 60 years old. It's a vineyard very steep with the type of terroir very calcareous, white, completely white, compact, very poor soil in organic substances. So small production, very, very small yield per hectare, but bunch of grape with berries very small, great concentration, unique thickness, unique, really wine that has the real expression of Serralunga in the body and in the color and the deepness. Parussi, I told you before, Parussi complex, rich, with tannins pretty aggressive. It's another wine that, under our point of view, really needed to be aged, in our point of view, longer than the others. Vignarionda. Vignarionda is our Grand Cru. Vignarionda is something magic for the producer of this area, and was a dream of my grandfather. Imagine that the first time he was able to have a piece of land in Vignarionda, go home and decided to change the name of his cellar in Azienda Agricola Vignarionda. So this is the current name of our cellar. Vignarionda has its own identity. Vignarionda we can't close in a bracket. Vignarionda has a complexity, has something that is unique, has a capacity a possibility to blend the powerful of the territory of Serralunga and the elegance of the Nebbiolo variety in a way that is simply, for our cellar, simply simply unique. So we think it's another wine that needs a little bit more time. For this reason, we release it like Riserva, only like Riserva. And of course, we produce it like the other single vineyard, only in the vintages when we think we have the quality enough high to for these single vineyards. I think tasting these wines side by side, I think it's possible really to understand better and to understand and to try to catch the style of these hills. Very different.
What have been the best two vintages over the last 5 years, in your view?
5 years.
Yeah.
The last 5 years.
The best two vintages over the last 5 years. Over the last 5 years. Yeah.
So I love 2016. 2016 honestly is very difficult to answer you because we had all vintages really excellent. So depend on the taste of each one of us. So I think the people that love wines more expressive and approachable, I think the 15 and the 17 will be certainly great, fantastic vintages. If you love more vintages with a style that we can say more, a little bit more close, but with a strong personality, with a Piedmontese personality, I think the 16 it's outstanding. The 16 is outstanding. The 19 will be another vintage, really, really great. But you know, we are very lucky because we had a really wonderful vintage for many years. Really wonderful and difficult to say which one would be the best.
So before COVID-19 and the lockdown, and before we had all of these issues that we're confronting today, what were the things that you were most worried about? What was keeping you awake at night? For COVID-19.
Could you repeat, please? Sorry, I didn't hear you, Keith. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So before the lockdown, in your normal
Yes.
winemaking and wine marketing activities, what were the things that you were worried about? They've obviously all been obliterated by COVID-19, but what were the things that were topmost of your mind prior to the current state of affairs?
Well, before COVID-19, we were speaking about the business. We were very, very, very happy. We were very satisfied. Like I told you, it was a magic moment for Piedmontese wine in many different countries. Certainly, we were worried about the taxes in United States, the possible taxes that were that could be placed for the Italian wine in the United States. But speaking about a global picture, we were very satisfied. Like I think we have considering that COVID-19 is a disaster. It's a situation that no one of us, I think, imagined to have to live. Starting from the people that died, so the people that passed away and passed away in a very awful way. They passed away alone. So something really impossible to imagine. But I think when the world, and I repeat, I hope soon the world will restart, I think the magic of Piemonte, the potential of our hills, the view that you can find here when you come in this area, I don't know, the atmosphere that you can enjoy here when you have a dish of tagliarina or ravioli or carne cruda with a glass of Barolo in a trattoria in a historic center of one of our village. It's something unique. So for this reason, I'm optimistic. We usually say in Italy that after the storm will arrive again the blue sky. So we have to. I think I remain optimistic.
Wonderful. So thank you very much. They generally end on an hour sharp, and they're going to drop us in a little bit. Thank you so very much for taking the time to spend with us. Wonderful, wonderful information that you shared with us. Thank you very much.
Grazie a voi. Thank you very much to all of you. Could I share, Kit? Could I share with you an image? Because
yes.
If we are lucky, I can show you the castle of Serralunga. Look, this is the castle of Serralunga in this time, lighted up with the colors of the Italian flag.
Wow, that is beautiful. That is awesome. That is awesome.
That means that also our village, that is small, like a little town in a Barolo area, lost in the south part of Piemonte, would like to restart, and trust in the possibility to have you and all